You know, you've been lied to about your food for a very long time. You see this right here? This is a 450 milligram tablet. What if I were to tell you that this is actually 0 milligrams? Of course, you're looking at it, but it really doesn't exist.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
What would you say? I'm crazy, right? Well, this is a loophole that manufacturer companies use to hide ingredients in your food. And it's called the rounding rule. If something is less than 500 milligrams per serving size, they don't have to list it in the nutrition facts. Let me explain. Let's say a product has less than 500 milligrams of trans fats, okay, per serving size. Manufacturing companies can round down to 0 and even say on the label that it has 0 trans fats. The same thing with MSG. It's called the rounding down trick. Okay. And it blows my mind how they got away with getting that passed, because 500 milligrams is not 0. You see, if something says sugar-free, fat-free, sodium-free, the chances of you reading the ingredients are pretty slim. So this is just another reason why you need to start reading the ingredients. And unfortunately, when we talk about sugar, there could be a lot of different terms for sugar. There's actually over 200 different words for sugar. But the thing that really kind of gets me is something called incidental additives. Ingredients that have a different function that's not related to texture, flavor, or a preservative. Or they have a function of extracting certain things from food. They're called solvents. If that ingredient is less than 5% of the finished product, they don't have to declare it on the label. Now, this could be dextrin, which is a carbohydrate, but it acts more like a sugar. On the glycemic index, maltodextrin can go up to 180. I mean, table sugar is like 74. So even though it's classified as a complex carbohydrate, it acts way more like a sugar. Sometimes maltodextrin is just a filler. So a lot of vitamins have this hidden maltodextrin and you have no idea if it's in there. At the end of this video, I will explain how to identify maltodextrin. But I think the most dangerous thing that's hidden in your food is hexane. There's hexane residues in MetRx. There's also hexane residues in the Kind bars. Now, what's going on with hexane? Well, hexane is a solvent. And so these products I just mentioned involve soy protein isolates. This is a very common protein that they put in bars, veggie burgers, plant-based products, and they use this hexane to extract certain things from the soybean. And so they bathe these soybeans in a petrochemical bath of this solvent, hexane, which is the byproduct of gasoline refining. There's a few companies that got sued because they advertised them as all natural. Cliff Bars was sued for this, and so was Kashi, who is owned by Kellogg's, because you can't have hexane in an all-natural product, especially if something is certified 100% organic. But hexane is classified as a neurotoxin by the CDC and as hazardous air pollution by the EPA. Of course, the soybean industry will argue that, oh yeah, hexane can get evaporated, blah, blah, blah. There's no regulatory body that's measuring how much hexane we're getting when we're eating these foods. They might think that they're getting this clean product, but they're not getting a clean product. And so how these manufacturing companies use this as an exemption is they classify them as a processing aid. And like I said before, it could be like an anti-caking agent, but it can also be a binder. And also a lot of the artificial sweeteners have in them hidden amounts of actual sugar and maltodextrin and dextrose, which is a synthetic sugar, but because they're smaller amounts, they don't have to list them. This is why it's probably good to actually get one of those blood sugar monitoring devices so you can test your blood sugar after consuming some of these products. Like one that I would really want to test would be this one bar here. First of all, it says 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, but it has isomaltooligosaccharides. It's classified as a fiber, but it acts just like a sugar. The other thing you have to be careful about is when they say no added sugars, right? In your mind, you're going to feel better about it, like, wow, good, there's no added sugars. But when you read the ingredients, you're going to see that there might not be added sugars, but the stuff in there definitely is filled with sugars. And you also have to be careful about anything that says sugar-free or sugar-free gum. But because the serving size is so small, they can use it to trick you. I'm also suspect of anything that says sugar-free when the carbs are high as well. Another trick that they use with maltodextrin is classified as a carbohydrate, not as a sugar, even though it acts more like a sugar. And so they can get away with saying it's sugar-free. Again, if you check your blood, it'll just jack your blood sugars way the heck up there. Another ingredient I would be very careful about is corn syrup solids. Like, wait a second, corn syrup solids? Corn syrup solids is basically a solid form of corn syrup. So it's the same thing, but it's just in a solid form. So it's a synthetic type of sugar made out of corn. Besides gum being in a small quantity, and they can kind of hide a lot of things in there, you also have the sugar-free non-dairy creamers you put in your coffee. I know when I'm out of town in a hotel, right, there's always this coffee machine, and they always have this, non-refrigerated, non-dairy creamer. Sometimes it says sugar-free. I will not use that in my coffee. Even though I need cream in my coffee, I will just drink it black because I don't trust those creamers. So I have a question for you. What's your thoughts on this 450 milligram capsule really being zero? So now let me show you a great simple way to detect if something has hidden starches in it, like maltodextrin, cornstarch, or food starch. Check this out. This test is to determine if there are carbohydrates in your supplements or even your food, okay? And primarily I'm going to focus on maltodextrin, especially in flavors. Now, it works like this. All you need is some iodine. If you combine iodine with the starch, it turns the color blue. Now, if we take just normal water, okay, I'm just going to take water. We just take a drop or two of iodine in just regular water, tap water. You can see it doesn't turn blue. It stays kind of golden yellow. But if we take some iodine on some wonderful bread, you can see it will turn it blue. Okay, that's the chemical reaction. Now, if we take pure maltodextrin, for example, and put it in some water right here, okay, mix it up, put a couple drops of iodine in it, you can see the color blue or purple. Okay, that's pure maltodextrin. Now let's take this other electrolyte powder, which is a competitor's brand, which has a very similar formula to mine, like a copycat formula. They state that this is without sugar or maltodextrin. Add a scoop of that and a couple drops of iodine. Let's see if it has maltodextrin in there. Woo! Turns purple blue. Apparently it does. All right, now let's take my electrolyte powder. Let's see if it has any maltodextrin in there or carbs. Starches, I mean. Okay, mix it here. Let's put a couple drops of iodine in there. No purple, no maltodextrin. In fact, let's put some even more iodine in there, see if it eventually turns it purple. And the answer is no. It stays yellow gold. And you can detect hidden maltodextrin and other starches in your supplements and food.